Hi, this is Dan Morisaki of Ichigo. I just want to say thank you, Tron, for inviting me to be a part of the Self-Storage Hawaii conference this year. I really wish to be there with you all in person, but due to some lingering quarantine requirements in Japan still in place, I had to give up attending the conference, unfortunately. So hopefully next year, when everything would turn back a little bit more normal, feels like keep saying that, every year, but hopefully I can participate in the event and enjoy the whole experience with you next year. So let me pull up the screen for us. Okay, there you go. Again, my name is Dan Morisaki. I'm the head of business promotion at Ichigo, Japanese sustainable infrastructure company, which is a fancier way of saying real estate developer, and you get the idea. Which started its investment in self-storage 4 years ago in Japan and later in Taiwan. Tron asked me to speak on the subject of sustainable business, which I'm very happy to talk about, not just because we consider ourselves one of those, sustainable businesses, but because this is a very important topic to all of us in general, and especially as a real estate investor like us. And obviously, the sustainability discussions have been a little more advanced in North America and Europe than in Asia, generally speaking, but hopefully I can add some Asian twists, if you will, into the subject. Little bit of word on Ichigo. We invest in different asset types, primarily in Japan. Our portfolio consists of almost 250 billion Japanese yen, which is approximately 2.5 billion US dollars. We focus on small to mid-scale retail, office, hotel, residences, and some others. Self-storage actually is included in this some other part of the portfolio. So it is still a very small part of our investment. We also invest in renewable energy sector, namely solar power plants and recently in wind farms. The reason why we started to be involved in the renewable sector goes back to the aftermath of the nuclear meltdown took place after the huge earthquake in 2011. The attention to the renewable energy has been remarkable, especially after the quake in Japan, as the investment pace picked up elsewhere in the world around that time. Speaking of our self-storage assets, we have invested in one operator in Japan with 35 facilities now throughout Japan. And we have a minority share in a Taiwanese operator who has 10 facilities so far. They just opened up a new facility in the city called Hsinchu, which is a huge semiconductor town, lots of new families. So we are pretty excited about what's going to happen there in Taiwan. And the living space in Asia has been getting smaller and smaller. So the demand for storage space accordingly has continued to rise, though the market penetration is lower compared to North America. In the States, you guys probably say 1 in 10 households uses self-storage service. The number in Asia is a lot lower, as opposed to 1 in 10, it would be like 0.2, 0.5, or even lower. So that's the picture in Asia. Okay, let's dive into discussion of sustainable businesses. First of all, why do we have to start sustainable businesses? The answer is very simple, because we do not have any choices right now. The left side of the slide is a Twitter meme that I picked up earlier this year. During the summer in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm sure we all have witnessed some of these apocalyptic sceneries of wildfires. Also in the Southern Hemisphere, some of us will remember the continent-wide wildfires in Australia a couple years ago. Let me show a couple of video clips of horrendous floods in Europe and Japan. One of my friends, Paul Fahey of Easybox Self-Storage in Italy and Storage World in Manchester, England, who is also a good friend of Self-Storage Association Asia, which I'm part of, introduced this video in his social media this summer. Let's take a watch.
Italy, Cernabbio, Cuomo, July 27th. Today, we have to report about disaster in Italy again. Alarming videos those arriving from Cernabbio due to bad weather. 2 cars were taken away from the torrent and flood, as can be seen from the videos. A woman on a moped manages to get off the road in seconds, just before the worst could happen. In many areas the roads have turned into real torrents and flood. The rivers everywhere have become swirling, and where they are not overflowing and residing in India, the authorities are in suspense and constantly monitor the situation. During the night and this morning alone 108 millimeters of rain fell in Vedano Olona and Casasco di Intelvi, 103 millimeters July 26 due to the strong wind from a building in Via Pier Paolo Pasolini in Rozzano. No one injured in the accident.
And let me show you something from Japan. This took place in a resort town called Atami.
Go, 置いてけ置いてけ。あ、逃げる逃げる。行け行け行け。行け行け。うわ、すごい。危ないこれ。
Very scary stuff, isn't it? It's not my intention to be overtly alarmist in this context, but we all have to acknowledge that extreme weather has been, fixture, been raging in all parts of the world and has become more frequent and more violent, unfortunately. Many of you might remember this report, IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, under the auspices of United Nations in this August. The report basically capped off what we have witnessed and discussed during the early part of the summer and provided a stark warning that it is becoming almost too late to reverse the tide of the global warming. According to the report, carbon and other greenhouse gas emissions have caused approximately 1.1 degree Celsius of warming since 1850 to 1850/1900, and up until this the span of almost 120 to 170 years. And now we are facing another warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius in the next 20 years. So we are up against the wall, and the report suggests that we need to cut the emissions entirely in less than 30 years from now. So this is why we hear the talk of net zero carbon emissions by 2050. And like that is not enough, we have more bad news that we are the bad guys. Real estate guys are bad guys amongst different industries, including manufacturing and other types. Buildings, this is also according to the United Nations report, different report. Buildings are responsible for nearly 40% of all global emissions. Let that sink in for a while. More specifically, 28% comes from building operations. So this is called operating carbons or operating emissions. And another 11% comes from the building materials, building constructions. So this is called embedded carbons or embedded emissions. So we have no excuse for not taking actions now. And if you are listed companies or REIT, this is what we have to work with. We have to decrease both operating and embedded carbons by using clean or green technologies and new construction materials. My observation is that real estate developers in North America and Europe, also in Asia, places like Japan, Singapore, and Australia, all started investing in these clean or green technologies, especially with the grade A and grade S type of buildings, which is brand new, state-of-art, massive installations in CBDs in mega cities across the world. But it is less so among small to mid-scale players like us, like Ichigo, even in the same markets, especially with smaller and in many cases, older assets. But I believe eventually all of us have to start thinking about this in one way or another. But I have a good news. Real estate guys may be bad guys, but self-storage guys and gals may be not as bad. I stole this chart from Extra Space Storage 2020 Sustainability Report, and it shows that we are, by design, inherently lower carbon emission, lower energy water consumption asset class. This is, specifically about the extra space data, but we know we are not that different. Self-storage is like 86% less carbon emission, 84% less energy consumption, 92% less water consumption, and 82% less in waste production compared to other asset classes. This is great. We are ahead of other asset types. Not only we can be proud of our strengths in being sustainable, but we can channel our resources to other areas to make us more sustainable. We don't have to invest in clean or green new technologies and new building materials right away, or as much as other asset classes are doing. And I think this is a great discussion topic for us as well. We can brainstorm other ways of making and keeping ourselves more sustainable. And we can hear from our colleagues on specific things they might be already doing. And lastly, let me share a little bit about what Ichigo has been doing in the sustainability space. First of all, we joined this global corporate initiative called RE100. RE100 means going renewable 100%. We pledge to make all our power sources to be from renewable energies. The goal was originally 2040, but we recently changed it to 2025. So we only have 4 years or less than going totally net zero. And actually, we are on paper already net zero. Ichigo is, in other words, Ichigo is already on paper a 100% climate positive company. How do we do that? We invest in renewable energy sectors, as I said, in PV and wind plants, wind farms. And by doing so, we are reducing carbons more than we emit. Last year, we emitted almost 60,000 tons of carbons, but we generated powers which effectively reduced almost 116,000 tons of carbons in our estimation. In actuality, we still buy power from non-renewable sources, though all the power we generate is being purchased by power companies in Japan, EPCOs. So that's why we are on paper net zero, but actuality it's not yet. And so the ultimate plan for us is to be self-sufficient in terms of renewable power sourcing in coming years. But by 2025, which is our new RE100 target year, we will accomplish net zero probably by purchasing renewable power certificates and such, which is available in the market right now. And so I rushed through a little bit, but in conclusion, this is a couple funny pictures. One of them at least. In conclusions, we are in a very, very late stage in our effort to contain or reverse the global warming. And B, making our businesses sustainable is imperative. And thankfully, C, self-storage is an inherently lower emission asset class. And we can talk about different ways of making sustainable businesses. Let me read a couple of discussion points. We can discuss this or whatever the moderator will guide the discussion as I step away from the screen in a while. What are the characteristics of self-storage that makes it a unique asset class in sustainability discussions? And what are the things you have been doing already or you can do going forward to make the self-storage industry more sustainable? Let me give you a couple of examples from our experience in Japan. This Japanese lady named Marie Kondo became very popular, and even outside Japan, maybe some of you might recognize her name. She's the author, professional decluttering advisor. She has her books and TV shows, and which you can see in the States as well, I think. And the basic idea is, the whole, movement of becoming minimalist and, amongst millennials and Gen Zs and stuff like that. You can enjoy. By decluttering, you can make your home more attractive, more beautiful, more enjoyable. So as a self-storage industry in Japan, first we thought her as a threat. But as we really studied what she's saying, how we can work together, actually self-storage can be a solution in decluttering. So we can work together. The whole theme of not throwing everything away, you can store some stuff, use your space and money more wisely, stuff like that. So that's one of the ways to pitch self-storage businesses as sort of sustainable way of lifestyle and doing businesses. And also, some of our own self-storage facilities, we made first floors into a laundromat floors so that customers can come and they can wash their clothes, for example, winter clothes, and dry them and store them upstairs. So it's whole cycle of recycling, sort of, doing conservation and not throwing everything you don't use right away. And it's also, showing the example of a sustainable lifestyle. So it's small type of examples, but we can do many other specific different things so we can exchange ideas. So I hope we can, I hope that will help our discussion, and thank you very much for this opportunity and time for us to speak a little bit. And I will be stepping away for a while from the screen and see you at the end of the session. So again, thank you very much, and I will see you in a bit.